Hey everyone, I am finally getting around to putting together all of the Montessori practical life sets, and there is just no other way to show you guys than to make a video because I have two shelves that these sets take up. So I'm going to go through everything. It's going to be a good long video, and you guys will kind of see everything that's in the sets and how your child would use them, and just how lovely the sets are. So first, we've got a lot of pouring and transferring works, and a lot of them have more than one purpose. So for instance, we have like a color sorting transferring work, and let me tell you, the child will know exactly what to do just because the bowls are color coordinated in just beautiful tones, and they'll know that they're gonna pick up these tongs here and pick out the right objects and the right colors, and then they can dump them all back in to this pretty acacia wood tray when they're done. They'll probably take the tray to their table or work rug and have a good old time doing that. This is a different variation where they're going to take these eggs and do light, medium, dark. You can do a Montessori 3-part lesson with these as well. You can even make labels if your child is older that say light, medium, dark, so that they are recognizing the word. And then you can also switch things up and use different utensils with different works. I tried to choose for my setup here in my classroom some that would offer a bit more challenge. For instance, like if I were to use this with these, it would be a lot easier. That would be like a good work for a toddler to do, versus this transferring activity is going to be a little bit more challenging because there's not very much of a dip in the spoon. Yeah, just a pretty felt ball transferring activity here. Some of these bowls won't be the same exact shape, but they'll all be like a pretty shape. I just don't have enough of those. And then these I stained with like Vermont stains. They're totally non-toxic, and I just love this sage color here and how it corresponds to the bowl. Okay, for this one, they have a little bowl of beads, and then they have a little bag with like a little cord in here so that they can practice threading these beads, and that's really great fine motor skills, and it's really just like engaging for them, something that they love to do. And really all of these activities, like whether it's a 2-year-old or honestly an 8-year-old, these are just, they draw you in, and they're calming. They develop concentration and fine motor skills. I had some older kids helping me in my classroom, and one of them, she's in 5th grade, or going to 6th grade, and she was saying, oh, this is so calming, because you just do one at a time. This is a really cool little funnel work here, and I have it set up with just Himalayan pink salt, but I will send yours with sand. You can also use water. The water is a little bit more challenging because they'll find out that it creates a little bit of a vacuum seal and they have to kind of pull it up a little bit to get it to go all the way down. But my toddler loves this with water and it's fun however you do it. I'm finding that the Himalaya pink salt, I'm not going to include it in sets because I'm going to do sand for you guys, because it gets just moisture in it really quickly, and then it kind of clumps together and it's very hard to do the work. So I'm probably going to replace that before school starts. Okay, another like favorite of kids is just these bolts with the screwdriver. Again, great fine motor coordination, and also like the real life tool bit just really adds a lot of interest. Kids absolutely love this with the wooden mallet and the clay and hammering in these pegs. It does take some skill for them to do it straight on instead of having it go sideways into that. So it definitely holds their interest even as they get older. All my kids enjoy this, and you know, my 7-year-old gets into it too. Okay, so this one is really cool and fun and exciting. I have all the gemstones on the top of the bucket here, just so that you can get a better idea of what this work is. But basically they can like bury all of them in the sand, and then they can dig them out, and they can hold this over and like filter out the sand and just end up with the gemstones. And then they can open this lid, because you know you got to put your treasures in a container with a lid, and they can spoon the gemstones into the little container. So this is like a multi-step work here, but one that I think so many kids will just absolutely love. Of course, you could set this up in, like, if you have some kind of a, you know, sand tray or water table or anything like that, you could set it up so as to minimize the mess. But kind of part of the fun of Montessori is letting kids use materials like this and then teaching them to clean them up. So we're going to look at that stuff soon. But here also is a metal inset tray, and I've included just these, you know, really inviting, beautiful Lyra colored pencils that are like the 3-sided for developing that pincer grip. And this is like metal inset paper. These metal insets, they can start out just, you know, tracing and making the pattern inside. This part doesn't separate from the base because this is, you know, made to be just like a one single piece. It's like a really hefty piece here, so you can only trace this part on the paper, but then they can like make designs with it as they get older. And then for a kind of more challenging alternative as they get older, I'm including in your sets this metal inset that is a triangle inside of a circle. So they can really play around with that. You could, you know, get out larger paper for them to really have some fun with geometry and design. Okay, now these are dressing frames, and this really sweet button one makes it just really easy for them to get a hang of it because of the spacing in between. So I love these for them learning to button. And then who doesn't love zippers? So I also included a zipper dressing frame. My toddler loves this. So we have one at home too. Let me think, did I get everything on this shelf? I think I did. Now I do want to make a note that I have more trays on this shelf, on the shelves, than you'll actually receive, because like for instance, you're not gonna get 4 identical ones. The idea being that probably in a home setting and not at school, you would be rotating instead of having all of this out at once. So you'll get more like 1 of each kind of tray, but there'll be 2 of these really beautiful acacia wood ones, and 2, there's 2 of these smaller acacia wood ones. You'll see the other one is inside of another work on the other shelf. But yeah, I'll have, you know, in my description or whatever, like how many trays you actually get. You'll get like 1 of each kind at least, some 2 of them. And then I can let you know, if you need more trays, like what's some good places to find them. Okay, so now some more fun. All right, so your practical life kit would definitely not be complete without a child-sized broom. This is definitely, a favorite in our house, and even when kids come over to play at our house, they totally gravitate towards the child-sized broom. I'll show you quick on the bottom shelf. There is a child-sized dustpan and dust brush, just because of availability. Some of them are this blue and the Gluckskäfer, and some of them are the Ninhuis. Oh gosh, I don't know how to pronounce that, but the official Montessori red dustpan and a dust brush that's extremely similar to this. Like, it's basically the same. These are wonderful. They're amazing. I use them myself, but my kids really have no trouble using them at all. We also have in this seagrass basket crummer. This is nice because this is magnetic, and when they're working on their trays and they spill something in a dry work, they can just use this right on the tray because it's so small. They can also use this after their snack to clean up something little. And so these are just really handy to have in the environment. Now this is the favorite of everything, right? The spray bottle, child-sized spray bottle. These are the Ninhuis, however you say that, Ninhuis Montessori spray bottles. And then just a really beautiful washcloth for them to wipe up with. And then you could have either a bucket to put these in, or you could have a place to hang them to dry. Like in my classroom, I've got the little rack there for them to dry them. Okay, I have a little Play-Doh kit here with this whimsical dough, really pretty, really sweet. The acacia wood tray, so hardwood and safe for, you know, wet things and stuff. Some of these just gorgeous rollers that are stone. I love those. The kids love them too. It's very, like, I don't know, tactile play. And then these adorable beady bug stampers in just a sweet little wooden bowl. And like I said, some of the bowls will be this shape, some of them will be that other shape, but they're all very pretty. Okay, now the works that contain water. Now we do, they do blue in Montessori classrooms just because it adds interest for the child and they're just drawn in. They absolutely love it. And I think it helps a little too with the recognition that this is for work. It's not their drinking water. And so yeah, that's why now it was only 1 drop in here of the blue food coloring, and I will include all the food coloring that you need also in your set. You know, little sponges for them to clean up after themselves on their tray. Here they're using a baster, but if your child is younger, you can start the water transferring activity with just a sponge, and they can saturate the sponge, squeeze it into the next bowl. But yeah, for even my toddler can do this, and it gives him practice with that pincer grip. So you just, yeah, from one to the other, and always set things up so that they're going from left to right, just for that pre-reading purpose. Yeah, these pictures, this is just a classic Montessori waterwork of pouring. You can start out with beans for pouring. I'm not including beans, but I am going to include this Israeli couscous, and this is really fun because it's almost like little balls. So I think it's really, really fun for transferring works. And you can use it either pouring, which is more challenging, or just transferring with a small spoon, like on one of the other trays. Then we have the color mixing. Now, what you would start with, especially if you have a younger child, is just operating a dropper, is what the Montessori work is called, and you just have the 1 blue and a cup and the sponge to clean up after themselves, and they would just practice going from here to here. But then they can, you know, start learning a little bit about color theory and mixing colors. Obviously, you would present this to your child first so that they, you know the purpose of the work and know how to do the work. So I do want to say that I only put 1 drop in the blue, but because blue is such a strong pigment, I used 2 drops in the yellow and 2 drops in the red. Yeah, and you can teach them how to just make secondary colors. They can, you know, then just experiment, clean up after themselves, and yeah, it's lots of fun. Okay, here is just practice for table setting. So your child could, you know, carry the tray over to their table and then take everything off of it and just like set up their place with their placemat. These are like the glass cups and glass plates that are quite durable that are used in many Montessori classrooms. I use them at home with our kids, and there's also this child-sized silverware and this sweet placemat here. So the placemat unfortunately doesn't have the napkin thing, but that's okay. You know, you may not even use napkins at home, so it's totally up to you, but I will include a napkin. It's going to be a shade of green. It may not be this exact one because it comes in 4 different shades, but it's going to be a shade of green, so it'll, you know, flow nicely with everything else in the work. So yeah, they'll learn where to place everything on their placemat. And then, you know, we have at home like a little pitcher that I'm also going to have here at school to where they can have that on the table as well, pour their own drink. And then I am not including a pitcher or anything in this because obviously not all of you are going to want your child carrying a glass pitcher on a tray. But I can, you know, give you some tips as to where to find a good one that's child size. And then I just have a tray here with all the food prep stuff just to show you what is included in your set. You wouldn't have it set up on the shelf like this. You would have, you know, whatever it is that you're having for the snack that day, or lunch or whatever you're preparing with your child, and you would have like just what you need. So for instance, like in the classroom, I'm going to have a snack that's bread and butter and apple slices. Okay, so I would just have these here so that they can cut their bread into 4 pieces on here, and then they can spread on the butter. And so I would have just everything for them so that they can do it independently. Now in the classroom, I have like picture cards with instructions, but obviously when you're just at home with your children, you can just give them the instructions until they get used to it, and then they'll be able to just do it independently anytime. But yeah, including a knife that's used in many Montessori classrooms, obviously to be used under supervision, but they can use these if you teach them how, and they're developing their fine motor skills with all these other activities. They can chop veggies in fun crinkle shapes. This one, butter knife, and then these are strawberry holders actually, but they can be used just to, you know, like tongs, just to grab something and put it on their plate. Also, these are great for transferring work, so they could be used, you know, with any of those transferring works as well. So yeah, I kind of love everything. It's all come together so nicely, and yeah, a lot of these are just exactly the way I'm going to be using them in my classroom. Some of them will be modified a little bit for kindergarten, but yeah, these are the Montessori sets. I hope you love them. All right, thanks. Bye.